What is up, guys? It's Nico, the CEO of Biokemp. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. No, this isn't a casting couch. This is just our first podcast that we're releasing. Hopefully in the coming months, we're going to get a nicer setup, but we wanted to just dive in because we've been getting a lot of questions, pertaining to the origins of Biokemp. Before this video starts, if you can do us a huge favor and just like and comment and hit that subscribe button on the bottom right. We're going to dive into it. Awesome. Yeah, the birth of Biokemp, honestly, to get to where we are today was not always clear. And starting off, we faced a handful, of tribulations on the path. Biokemp was actually formed in the year 2018. Myself and Gabe, we were fresh out of high school and had spent majority of our time in high school either smoking or, trying to figure out ways to make money in the cannabis industry. In 2018, the Florida cannabis market was, extremely black and white. There wasn't much you could do with the crop without it being classified as illegal. And shortly out of high school, Gabe had actually moved out of Orlando and to Los Angeles for a period of time to pursue a career in film over there. I actually just ended up going to a little state college here in Orlando called Valencia. I didn't have great academics, so I couldn't get into any of the other colleges out here. But it actually turned out, extremely well because close to Valencia there was a little space called Maker FX, and it's actually, kind of what it is. It's like a maker space to where people, can come together and develop products or bring ideas to life. I shortly discovered, that space, and a few months after the first Biokemp hemp filter tip was formed. I had absolutely no experience in product development or design, so I had to start conversing with people in the space to try and figure out how to bring this product to life. There was like 7 or so 3D printers, so I took it to hand to try and learn how the machines work, and eventually 4 to 5 months later we actually had the first physical tangible sample that was worth showing. So after I had that product development, I immediately reached out to Gabe, and after a period of time, Gabe actually ended up moving back from Los Angeles to Orlando. And it wasn't till like the next few months that we actually even had something that we were ready to bring to market. Ironically enough, this is when things started to get really interesting because prior to bringing Gabe on board, I was actually working with another business partner, and things weren't really going to, according to plan. The only person I really trusted at the time was, my best friend of 7 years, Gabe, and he was the only person I knew that knew a ridiculously large amount of, knowledge pertaining to cannabis. Once Gabe came back here, we started to formulate a plan to bring this to market. I dissolved my other business, with my previous partner, and then we set out to it. In the early stages, it was a little bit tricky because we had no experience on any business, related subjects. We weren't gurus in marketing. We didn't even know how to sell a fucking product. So the thing that most, teenagers do when they want to start a business or bring a product to market or a service is they reach out to their closest friends, which is exactly what we did. So we started hanging out with a few of our other buddies that smoked weed, and we started to kind of figure out ideas and throw things around. And our buddy Twan, who's actually responsible for coming up with the name Biokemp, and he was one of our early, creative directors in terms of like content and marketing in the early stages. He came up with the name Biokemp, bio obviously stemming from our product being biodegradable, and then Kemp, which is actually derived from the Greek word cannabis, which was originally spelled with a K. In the early stages, we started off as a B2C company with literally just a handful of designs. Those designs, we had like 5 at the time. The first 5, one of them was a hollow tube. The other one was a donut, which was essentially a hollow tube, just thicker around the edges. Third one was a typhoon tip, which was essentially just a maze design. Then we had an X, and then we had my personal favorite at the time, which is called a tri-chambered tip. And what the tri-chambered tip was just like 3 barrels in the inside, so it had great airflow. But honestly, even with those designs being relatively decent, we weren't able to find success in the B2C market. We had absolutely no way to advertise. You can't run social media advertisements being in the cannabis industry. And we didn't have a lot of, money for marketing content, promo, things along that line. Shortly after we shifted our focus, we started looking for areas of opportunity in the cannabis industry. So what we did is we figured out 10 different industries within the cannabis sector that we could focus our products on. So things like dispensaries, cultivators, smoke shops, etc., and then also pre-roll companies. And after creating that list, we were actually able to narrow it just down to pre-roll companies because we realized that a large percentage of people can't even roll. So the rise in cannabis pre-roll companies started to grow significantly in the coming years. So yeah, we started developing content in our marketing tailored to like brands that were in the pre-roll space. And shortly after, our product began to gain a little bit of traction in the industry. The first two companies we worked with were based out of Los Angeles. The first one was called Blue Moon Woods, and the second one was called Rosewoods. So these two companies were awesome, man. They were doing a lot of great things early on in the cannabis industry, and we're super grateful that they gave us the opportunity to work with us early on. And eventually, Gabe ended up striking a relationship with a company that most of you guys already know. It's Flowers by Fidel. And Fidel had described in great detail of a new product that he was planning to bring to market that was, going to revolutionize, the industry. And that product is actually called a hash hole today, also known as a donut. So this product, that was called a hash hole, Fidel was trying to bring to market and was obviously trying to, put a lot of attention to detail on marketing. So we went to do what we knew best, and we drafted, an initial design of just a regular F, which, honestly, we weren't super, super proud of at the beginning just because we didn't have a ton of design experience. But I remember Gabe hopping on a call with, Fidel and Fidel saying that this was the future of the cannabis industry. And that was kind of like the reassurance that we needed to kind of, take this company to the next level. So obviously, a little bit after Fidel, put in an order for a couple thousand, and then his order sizes continued, to grow. I'm honestly not sure exactly how many, units we've done over the years, but it's definitely upwards of 150,000, so he really, really, really changed the game in terms of, bringing like the first hash hole to the rec market. So, we quickly realized that scaling a business like this was going to come with a ton of complications, especially being in the manufacturing space. Gabe and I went back to the board and, we dialed in a marketing plan, we dialed in a operational plan, and we dialed in a sales plan. We needed to build a team, that was well-versed in different areas of business. So we eventually ended up bringing, our third partner on, which was one of the greatest decisions that we ever made, because I always say there's three main departments in business that you got to hit: the sales, marketing, and operations. So we brought Vishesh on board, and he was going to be handling marketing along with sales and assistance to aid Gabe. So yeah, once the main team was dialed in, we started coming up with different strategies. The first strategy that we came up with was a little concept called divide and conquer. So what that really meant is us just treating our departments like a separate business entity, because we didn't want to be, overstepping each other's boundaries and micromanaging every step of the way, so we thought it would be best for each of us to handle a department like it was our own brand or our own company. And that worked really well. At times it was a little bit tricky, but we really instilled two, main core ethics that, kind of embodied everything that we did at Biokemp. Those two ethics were actually integrity and accountability. And with us operating with those two ethics in mind, it made trusting each other to do our job super, super easy, especially since we were all working on completely different tasks. But yeah, month after month, the business continued to grow. We ended up working with a lot of different brands in the industry. Right now, we've worked with over 4,000 companies, and it's just growing more and more each year. So, at that time, we really realized that there was a void in the industry. One, in terms of, cannabis companies greenwashing and not taking a really environmentally friendly route. And then two, Chinese manufacturers had essentially monopolized the filtration market, releasing relatively low quality products. We didn't just want to be a one product, wonder. We wanted to, essentially change the way people consumed cannabis, especially in the pre-roll space. So the products that we, developed had to hit one or three features, I should say. They either had to be reusable in one sense, biodegradable, or customizable. And if it didn't hit those three features, we weren't really interested in releasing it. So yeah, we started dropping products like our custom glass tips, our wood tips, our custom business card filter tips, and we began to see a lot of traction in conversion with those products as well. I'll be honest with you guys, the story of Biokemp was definitely not written in stone. In fact, the story is really just a bunch of teenagers who had a passion for cannabis and time to kill and grit. Every single milestone that we faced molded us into a stronger version of ourselves, and eventually, every single 17-hour or 24-hour workday paid off, and we're here today. I always say this 4 years later, the Biokemp team is just starting. We have so much more to accomplish, and, I get to wake up every single day loving what I do. My team feels the same way, and just we're super excited for the future of cannabis. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's pretty much, a rough synopsis of, like the starting point of Biokemp and the origins. If you like this video, please, again, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We're going to be coming out with a lot more videos and putting a little bit more money into the, the setup of the podcast studio. And hopefully soon we're going to be bringing a lot more guests on as well. So yeah, thanks again, guys. Really, really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this video, and I will see you guys on the next video.